Hello and welcome to Mindset Kitchen. Another episode, another inspirational guest. I have a huge pleasure to have Amy Rowlinson on my seat. How are you, Amy?
I'm really well and I'm so excited. I'm actually just hungry.
You're hungry, good. Perfect timing because it's lunchtime. It's also Christmas season. So I'm loving your jacket.
Thank you.
Thank you for sprucing up and looking beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm wearing red, and also thank you for beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
So Amy, without further ado, and before going to the lovely messages that you brought, that I'm excited to unravel and almost kind of like pick your brain and see what's going on with these messages, and hopefully share some of the understanding from my version, and guests hopefully will get really intrigued by them. But beforehand, I would like you to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, where do we start on that one? So I think I'm probably just start with the midlife beginning bit, because where I have really come into what I'm doing now, thank you, is focusing on being the best version of who I can be. And what that means is, or what that has arisen from, is my podcast, and that was launched in lockdown, and also tying in the work that I do as coaching. So it's all focusing around purpose and helping people be more purposeful in their life, because I think it just brings so much joy, and the contribution of your purpose makes a better world. So my role as a podcaster and as a life purpose coach is to gift the world with my contribution, albeit a small one, but it all makes a difference, and also provide an incredible platform for people to come and share their dreams, their gifts, and their contribution in what they're doing with their purposeful ways.
And Amy, we just spoke a moment ago before starting to record. How many episodes have your podcast has now?
Okay, so at the point of recording today, 376.
Wow.
I know, that's like one for every day of the year and then some. So
you were busy.
I have been busy. It started out as a simple seed that I had an idea for, and it has flourished. I planted it, gave it the water it needed, and then it has grown because people wanted it. You know, it wasn't something that I wanted to do it for myself, but it wasn't just that. It was a case of people keep coming to me and saying, I'd love to share my message, and who am I to say no? Because everybody has an incredible contribution to make, and when you are acting with purpose, then yeah, it really does make a difference to creating a better world that we live in, and you know, showcasing what's possible. And that's important for the future generations and for generation today.
And what's your podcast called?
It's Focus on Why.
Focus on Why. I love that.
Yeah.
I've listened to quite a few episodes.
Thank you.
As you say, I probably need a couple of years to go through them. But there are some great individuals that you have interviewed.
Yeah, well, and you know what's really important is it's not just about well-known people. It's about showcasing people who from all walks of life, and they're all relatable, uplifting, and really powerful conversations. And I learn every time. So what I do is, after every 5 guest episodes, I then reflect on what I've heard. And with that, I think, well, what is it that I need to take action as a result of? So I have my reflections with actions episodes after every 5. And what people share with me is they listen to those and they say, as a result of that, I'm now doing this. So they share what their reflections with actions are from my reflections with actions. So there goes the ripple effect. But also they then go back and listen to some of the episodes that they might have missed, because of, I don't give any spoilers, but I do share some key points for me, and then I dig deeper. Because what happens is, in an episode, they'll come on, the guests, and I allow them the space to share what they're doing. And so in my own solo episodes, I get the opportunity to go where I would like to go and pursue different avenues, and it's great. So it helps me to grow and learn, and it helps others to grow and learn. And I was recently recording an episode with someone, and they said, I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to go and check it out. And as a result, I chased him up today actually, and he said, yeah, on it. I'm working that out. And that's what's so great, is that it is a constant, perpetual, growing opportunity.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And the people you meet and how it shapes your mindset, shapes your day. Actually, sometimes when you record something, you feel so amazing afterwards because you had a wonderful conversation. So it's almost like a soul nurturing process for you.
100%. And there's never a moment where I think, oh, I don't want to do a podcast, or even review it or edit it or market it. Every single moment that's connected with a podcast is, for me, a joyous one.
And you write really well, Amy. I receive your emails every Friday and I read them it's Fridays.
Yeah, Friday Focus.
And sometimes I would grab my phone, I would see, and as I'm getting out of my bed, walking into the bathroom to brush my teeth, I'm reading your email. They always give some sort of a magical little message in there. And that's what I love about them. And I don't normally subscribe to things that come in every Friday or every week. I'm usually a queen of unsubscribing. That's what I call myself. But I love receiving your email.
Oh, thank you. It's interesting because every week I have mapped out topics for all of the next year. For each week, I've just got a heading with a title of a word or something that I'm going to focus on. But sometimes it changes because of what I need in that week and something that's happened, and I then reflect on that and I think, well, if it's happened to me, then that might be relevant to others. So I then share a personal story or a moment that's happened and expand on it. And like you, I get messages back saying, this really hit home today, or I really needed to hear this today. So that's what spurs me on and carries me forward, with having not missed one for, it's about 172 or 3 now that I've done. So yeah, it's consecutively every Friday.
Wonderful. I will be putting Amy's details on the website, on your podcast. Anyone wants to subscribe through Amy's website as well for this wonderful Friday email, the details will be in there as well. What are we cooking today? Amy has chosen quite a few amazing meals. Unfortunately, we only have 1 hour. I will re-invite Amy later on behind the cameras and cook a wonderful dish that you chose on the other list. But for today, I am making Amy fish cakes. But before that, me and Amy know each other. She's my dear friend. And we've been talking about Mindset Kitchen, filming, her coming here to film. And we've been talking about another dish that I couldn't make on the show.
Oh, look at you!
But I still made it for you.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
So these
that's really touching. Thank you, because I was like, I'm really excited about fish cakes. Don't get me wrong. However, stuffed vine leaves are my absolute favourite. So, that is so thoughtful.
So this is a little snack for you if you get a little package whilst I'm making that.
Thank
and I also
you.
have a box for you to take away. So
oh my goodness.
Don't worry if you don't touch them today.
Do you know, there's a story about this. I went to Greece and I was on holiday with my husband, John. And I mean, this is going back way before kids. So over 20, 25 years ago. And I went to dinner. And it was, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, so an early dinner in Greece probably. And I said, can I order the stuffed vine leaves? And the waiter said, well, my grandmother hasn't finished making them yet.
Oh.
And I said, don't worry, I'll have them when they come. And I had them for dessert because they are literally my favourite things. So thank you so much.
I knew that. And I was like, I can't let Amy down. And I've made them. I just checked because it takes a while to make them. They need to be cooked 30 minutes and 40 minutes again, then rested. So I was no way going to make it today.
Okay. So even more gratitude for you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You can try and dig in if you like.
Thank you.
First time ever. It could be Not as
Have
perfect.
you tried it?
I have tried it. I loved it, and I like them as well. But I've never made them before.
No. Will you do them again though? That's
I would. I would.
I
would, because once you make it once, you don't think that it's actually so difficult. I thought they are hard to make. It's just a little process, and you have to dig in the recipe and do it properly. But I don't think it's crazy difficult to make, and they're really healthy. I think to have and snack through the day.
Oh, amazing! I hope I don't get stuck in my teeth.
Don't worry, we'll pause the cameras and give you a toothbrush.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval from the expert.
Well, it's taken me straight back to holiday. You know how food is evocative like that?
It is.
It just takes you back to moments, and yeah, I'm definitely paler than I was last time I ate one. I didn't have the suntan. And
we are filming not in Greece. It's cold outside and moody and rainy.
Can you arrange that, please?
Yes. Next episode. I'm going to read the first message that Amy brought. All of them are amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have you here as well, Amy.
Oh, thank you.
So the first message is, it's never too late to be who you might have been. I am a great believer of midlife beginnings.
Yeah. So it stems from, I'd been asked to come and work for a startup company back in 2014. And I hadn't been in the workplace for a while. So I'd been raising children since 2002/3, so I went on maternity leave then. And that break of 12 years put quite a big dent into my confidence. And so I did a lot of research of just, what is it I need to do to go back into the workplace? How can I prepare myself? And I stumbled across a quote, and it's like, never too late to, etc., etc. And I was like, well, that makes sense, and I can subscribe to that. And I remember going into the office that first day, having not been in the workplace for 12 years. And it probably took the best part of 10 minutes before I'm fine, I've got this. But that I can just remember that anxiety prior to it. So it's never too late to be who you might have been became a bit of a mantra, but just to remind me that it's fine, it'll be okay, you've got this. And so many skills are transferable. And also at midlife, you do start to question a lot of things and recognize what's gone before and what is to come. And it links in heavily to mortality and sort of getting closer to knowing that you've only got a certain amount of time and you never know how long that's going to be. And so making the most of the time is being important. So don't think that it's not too late. If you want to do something, go and do it. So yeah. And I just a daily reminder, I just get up and do stuff that I want to do. So yeah, never too late.
I agree with you, Amy. You're really inspirational. You're a doer. You just do so many things. And when I was thinking about that, when I read it the first time, I always thought, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know if what I'm doing right now, not right now, but when I was working in the corporate world, is it something that I want to do always? And I always kind of admire the people who always knew what they wanted to do and they did it. And I felt a little bit kind of sad not knowing what's my passion, what I want to do. And I thought, when I reached my late 20s, late 30s, I thought, it's okay, it will come. And when it will come, you will realize this is what you want to do. And what I'm doing now is absolutely loving it. And it's completely opposite to what I planned to do. I studied law, done banking, thinking this is my career.
Yeah.
But actually, nothing like that. Where I thrive, the things that I want to do and gives me joy, completely different than I ever envisaged. I'm not midlife yet, but it's my way of looking at it as it's not too late, because I also changed my career and I was working really hard to be in the previous career. And in my late 30s now, I'm changing, which is not too late. No. Before I used to think, oh my God, what am I going to do? I still don't know. And approaching nearly 40s and I still don't know. So it's never too late. Yeah, I completely agree.
I think that the pressure is on, and that's where a lot of people get a little bit lost or feel that they are doing not the wrong things. I wouldn't say that, but the desire or the need to have a purpose becomes a bit of a debilitating. Becomes debilitating. And so what I help people to recognize is just focus on what it is that brings you joy, or that you really love doing, in the sense of, it doesn't need to be that that's the purposeful career, or that that's of huge value to you in essence in everything you do, but just you can do lots of little things that you love doing, and slowly things will start to slot into place. And I'm a great truster of the universe, and that things will happen if you start going on a particular route. And there is a story I can share a bit later about what has happened, is just trusting that things will fall in place, but making sure that you're not missing out in the time being. You're not sort of desperate, like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. It's just do what you want to do, and things will happen. And yeah, there's another quote that I know I've shared with you that I'm not going to step into that one yet, because we're going to speak about that later. So I'll pause now.
Completely agree, Amy. And I think also the midlife, when you approach the midlife beginnings, it's when you have all the necessary experience to succeed at anything you want to do.
Yeah.
You have the right circle of friends. You even from the basic things, like you have family, you have done everything with your previous jobs that gave you experience. So you have this massive box of great stuff to be used in anything you want to do. And when you start earlier, you still not sure, you don't have the right circle, and I think the midlife is when you actually the strongest to actually do everything you want.
Yeah, and there's a quote by Napoleon Hill about the tools that you need, and you have everything you need right now. And he didn't say exactly like that, but the premise is that there's always going to be things you don't know, and there's going to be things that you don't know. And if you wait to get all the things perfectly aligned, then you're going to miss out. So there are just things that I've done in the past, decisions I've made that I probably would now have made a different decision. But at the time, with the tools that I had, the decisions I made, and at least I took action. Yeah. And that's the key thing, is to take action. And as a result of that, you'll know whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing. But until you take action, you won't know.
Totally agree with that. So I'm taking action, and I will find out if Amy likes my fish cakes. So I have prepared this just this morning, so to avoid me constantly cooking, and I rather be talking to you. Yeah. In this mixture here, there is cod, mashed potato. I put a little bit of garlic, spring onions, various herbs, and a little bit of butter. And the fish was cooked prior to that as well, on a little bit of butter. And now I'm just going to fry them so they have a nice crispy shape.
It's very therapeutic just watching you do it. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we just stay in silence?
It's really cool.
So I have a second message to introduce, but my hands are really dirty.
I know, right?
And do you remember the message?
Which one was it?
Because of the second one.
Let's have a look.
Okay. You don't find your purpose. You create, craft, evolve it through your entire life.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, it's your life's work. So I often say you're not going to find your purpose down the side of the sofa, right? So sitting watching telly is probably not going to be fruitful for you in the finding. And that's because you don't find it. You craft it, you create it. It's an active, breathing, living thing that is happening when you are living with purpose. It is something that is it's a beautiful approach, and so with that you then are more active, you are conscious of what's important to you, what you stand for, what you stand against, and piecing together all of the various components. And there are separate components that I believe will help you to live a more fulfilled and purposeful life. And so by doing that, you then give yourself the opportunity to experience things, to work with other people, to collaborate on shared values and various causes. It gives you the opportunity to volunteer or to to be more purposeful in your work is a lifelong project, and it does evolve. So you may start with one thing and that may lead to another, and that's okay, because your purpose is ever evolving. Your values tend to stay or remain the same from throughout your life, unless you challenge them and recognize that actually they were borrowed or not your own values. And this is something that I help people to recognize, is to challenge the status quo, to understand what you can and what you can't control, to be happy with understanding what is in life, what reality is, and really understanding what you can affect in terms of change. And essentially that is yourself. You can only really ever change yourself. You can't change others. But or if you do try, it's a painful route to navigate in life, to try and make everybody else change, when essentially it's probably yourself that needs to change.
I agree with that. That's a nice angle, because many times in my life I would say, oh, this and this did not happen because this person did not let me do that, or how about you find a way how to do it better, or find a different way. And if you redirect everything to your own self-awareness, self-growth, things will be so much easier, because you have that focus on yourself, or you don't need to worry about others that you can't change. So I totally agree with that. And then when you're saying, Amy, hone your craft, when did you notice that in your life, but that actually you consciously start doing that?
I think it was when I started the podcast. I recognized that my superpowers essentially are listening and questioning. I mean, it's something that I have been actively doing my entire life, and so over those years, becoming more and more aware of what's important to me, and listening to others, and focusing on those two skills. They're both traits that I require for my craft, for my work. But I love it. I love listening to people. I love learning and growing from what it is I'm taking on board. I'm always listening to audiobooks. I'm always reading. I read probably 2 or 3 books a week.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's a lot, right?
Yeah, wow.
But I take it on board. It's not wasted knowledge, and that for me is applied. It's applied knowledge, and that's how I show up in my daily life, is through the podcast, through the coaching work, is to enable other people to recognize their superpowers and apply them and hone their craft around them.
Yeah. Amazing. Because the reason I asked that, when did you notice about crafting that, actually purposely, consciously focusing on that? It's only maybe 3 years ago happened to me, because you don't think, you just have maybe a goal, or in your career you have to do something, a promotion or a project and things like that, and you forget that actually many things, like soft skill, like you say, listening, analyzing yourself, raising self-awareness is something through coaching that I've found that really helped me. I mean, when I watch these videos, I'm certainly noticing that and raising that awareness. So if there is a way for people to, because not everyone can have coaches, and not everyone wants to have coaches, but that having that self-awareness and having the making conscious decision to craft continuously so that you become someone you want to become, it's quite a task if you're doing it by yourself.
It is. However, I do believe that you are your best coach yourself. So yes, it's great to have someone else come in and facilitate those questions and help you to inquire within. But you know your own answers. It's just a case of, are you actually listening, and are you inquiring within? Because it can be painful, it can be hard, and it's about taking effort. It's about really looking within and, again, confronting reality, because we all can spend a huge amount of time wasting time trying to make reality different to what it is.
And Amy, I'll ask this question. Why do you think we all should be doing that?
I'm not saying we should be doing anything.
Let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
Why do you think that helps us?
So, understanding that you take responsibility for your own life and that it is only you who is capable of doing that. And then when you do take responsibility, and a lot of people don't like that word because it sounds onerous, but actually I think it sets you free. Taking responsibility for your own life, because no one else is going to effectively. Or actually, that's not true. If you do allow other people to dictate what it is in your life, you're not going to be living a life that's authentic to yourself. You're going to be living other people's lives and doing things for other people and not living your own version of what you want to be doing. So by taking responsibility for finding out what it is you love doing, finding out what it is that is important to you, what you really stand for in terms of your values, what upsets you or angers you in terms of what's going on in the world and what you'd like to do to make a change in some respect, then you can really, this is where you can fold in all different elements and live a life that is really special and fulfilling. Because when you are making that contribution and you are aware of what it is doing, not just for yourself but also for others, then it's incredibly fulfilling.
And I love that what you said about taking responsibility. It is a very almost daunting word. What responsibility I should be taking? But
yeah,
when you actually do, and then you tie it in with you feel free, it's because you don't need to then rely on anyone else. You don't need to blame anyone else. You don't need to think it's someone else's fault in anything you do. It's all you. And then when you become better and better at this, you become free.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love that analogy that you just given.
Yeah.
So while Sammy was talking, I was trying not to burn all these
I'm so fascinated. I keep having to concentrate on the question because I'm so watching the process and loving it.
I am just going to pop them in now in the air fryer. I love air fryer.
Oh my goodness.
I
Life changer.
Exactly right. I'm going to quickly pop them in because that will just cook them nicely for a bit less time, for probably around 10 minutes. And then in that time then I will be able to make tartar sauce. These fish cakes, I've made them in the oven before, but because oven takes so much time to warm up, and I just realized it can be done in the air fryer. And with everything, so many things I do now in the air fryer, pretty much everything. And when I got the air fryer, I probably didn't turn the oven for 2-3 months.
I know. It's so much more efficient, for sure. Brilliant.
So, Amy, I quickly done the little measurements there, and I've added into my tartar sauce a bit of Worcester, half a teaspoon, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, dill, parsley, and now I'm just doing cornichons, capers, and a little lemon squeeze.
I think dill is one of my favorites.
I'm so glad you said that because I literally thought about it as well. I'm from Lithuania. We use dill on everything,
really?
On eggs, on every single meal, in sauces and meats. Dill is everything.
It goes beautifully with fish.
It goes beautifully with fish as well. Yeah. Amy, is there anything else you want to add on your second message?
I think it ties in with the first one, that it's never too late. So a lot of people get to midlife and they feel that, what's happening? Why do I feel so lost? I'm at a crossroads. And instead of that feeling a bit like a crisis, an existential crisis, you can change that into a midlife beginning and say, fine, great, look where I've come, look what I've got. And it does tie in with gratitude, of course, of understanding not what you lack, but what you have. And then recognizing how you can leverage on what has passed and how you can really start to move forward with intention. And I think you used the word goals earlier, and a lot of people struggle with goals as a word because it can be wrapped up with stress in some way. So if you have it as an intention or a desire, then it becomes more attractive, and you can just say, well, my intention is to, and fill in the gap as you choose. What is it you'd like to achieve, or what is it you'd like to focus on more than anything else, and just pursue it. And if it's not what it is, then make sure you've enjoyed your time doing it. So it's never too late, and it is about crafting and creating and building and choosing. So choosing first what it is you'd like to focus on, and bringing other people in. Don't feel as though your purpose has to be a solo journey. In fact, it really is something that is better if you are with other people. So what community is it that you could become a part of? Who else could you bring along and have shared purpose, a collective purpose? Are there already people doing something that you'd like to investigate more? What the UN Sustainable Goals are a fabulous way of identifying what really matters to you. And then finding out locally, is there something that I could connect with other people and work towards one of those goals? And so it could just be something very local, or it could be a national project that you get involved in. And this is where a lot of people feel that they need to change their careers. It doesn't have to be a career change. It could be something that you do in your spare time as a volunteer, and that will be, your purposeful route for now. So yeah, craft it, create it. It will evolve as you go on.
And Amy, that word goals, again, you hit the nail there, because I used to hate the word goals as well. Goals, goals, goals. I renamed them as well to vision, desire, passion. They sound a bit more positive. I guess goal is not a negative word, but it just sounds more positive in my head. In the same way, midlife, people refer to thinking, oh, well, I've reached midlife. What now? It's again having that positive spin that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of great life. It's the beginning because you have that package of experience with you, and it should never really be about being sad and kind of deflated about reaching that stage. It's about being excited to start a new beginning, new chapter, and I love that as well. I've been in the car with Amy lately, and I had it's roughly 2 hours we're in the car, and I had the most beautiful session, because all the books you read, we are jumping from one topic to another, from one to another. And my point with that is you surround yourself with amazing people like Amy, all the friends that are positive, that actually encourage you, push you further. And no matter where you are in life, it actually doesn't matter, because the people who you surround yourself will really reflect as well that.
Yeah.
So as you say, you don't have to be alone. You can get help. And I think midlife is about realizing that actually you've never been alone. There are always people out there, as long as you just call for help.
Yeah, that's a great insight.
So I'm going to try and test a little bit with different spoon. Oh, you will love this.
Excellent.
I'm so confident. On that note, I'm going to proceed on a third message. Stop filling in the moments. Instead, create moments which are fulfilling. Difference between living and existing. Wow. Yeah. Powerful.
Okay, so we have kind of touched on some of this already. However, for me, what happened was I recognized that I had been drifting, sleepwalking essentially, and not really questioning what my husband and I were doing. We were just going through the motions. And there was a point when, it was back in 2016, he came back from work, and I looked at him and I thought, okay, this has got to stop. He became a shadow of himself. He had been working ridiculously hard and not questioning it, because it's what everyone else in your environment does. You just spoke about the people around you, and when you see other people who are like-minded and doing the same thing, you do think, oh, well, that's what everyone else is doing. And it comes back to that challenging the status quo. Is this actually serving me right now? because if it isn't, then things have to change. And so I quit my job because I knew that there had to be something else that would happen that would make a difference to our lives. And I set the intention of 3 years' time that John would take himself out of the city. So retire is probably the word that most suits the word. And I then set about what I needed to do for that to happen. And 3 years was from that date to the 30th of September 2019. Well, I missed a deadline. No, it wasn't a deadline. It was my intention date, the intentional date that I'd set by 3 days. But there was a reason for that. So on the 3rd of October, John actually did quit his job. He took voluntary redundancy, and that's why he waited, because he knew it was coming, and he thought, okay, that's fine, I'll take that. So he did leave the city, and I had set up a property portfolio that replaces income. He now takes over that and the running of it, which is not hugely time consuming because we've outsourced a lot of the work to agents to manage the properties and things like that. But what it does allow him to do is to live a life of his creation and not sort of sell his soul to the city, which is what he'd been doing. And so we made some changes in our lifestyle. So we didn't have as many huge outgoings as we had. And we really focused on what mattered. And that for him was to spend time with his family. Now, this was 2019, September, October. And as you know, he had 3 months of freedom, perceived freedom, before we went into lockdown 6 months later. So, yeah, it was an interesting time. But what has really shown us is that it was needed. He spent all the time he needed to with his father, who died last year. He was able to drop everything at all times to be present and help his family. And again, also, we have lost a couple of friends in that time as well. And he was able to be there because he had the time. And that has just been so important to what really matters. So it was a case of creating fulfilling moments, not just filling in the moments, which is what we had been doing. And he was more present with the children before they went to university. He spent wonderful time. We had a most amazing lockdown because we were together as a family. And I get that it was incredibly difficult for a lot of people, but because we'd set up this sort of intentional living, we were able to craft a different route. And that is now something that we continue. He volunteers. He does a lot of volunteering in rugby, and also he does blood running. So he's driving around from various hospitals to another hospital doing what they need him to do. And he's managing the under-18s for Kent Rugby, which he absolutely loves. So he's been very intentional about his time. I'm now able to spend more time on the coaching and the podcasting. So I'm intentional with my time. And then we can travel whenever we want as well, because our lifestyle has changed that. So, it really is a case of shifting that belief of, oh, it's Friday night or it's Sunday night, and having those fill in the moment thoughts of, oh, it's work tomorrow, or this is your life you're living. Come on, you want to have every moment as being incredible. And whilst I also understand that is not entirely possible, the intention is that it can be. There's going to be moments where you have suffering. There are moments where life happens and their curveballs occur, but it's responding to them and being able to respond to them is now what we can do.
Beautiful, Amy. And I was actually having goosebumps as you were talking, because the message as intentionally thinking about your time are so important. Even though you have a job next day, is you can think about your moment. What are you doing now? Not focusing, oh, tomorrow I have to go to work. Every single moment matters. For little things like I made Sundays now to go to the park. We always go to walk into this beautiful deer park. Actually,
I went there on my birthday.
Exactly,
yeah,
Park.
It's beautiful.
One of my favorite parks.
Thank you for the recommendation. It was stunning.
Yes, and I go there pretty much every Sunday with my family. That's my intentional time spent. So even if you cannot do this intentional time entire week, entire month, slowly adding them in intentionally, you will populate your mind with seeking for more of those intentional moments. And I think that's what happened to me. And as you said, you referred to COVID lockdown. Lots of people were saying, well, I was just bored, did nothing. There was so much time that was given to all of us to do something about it that we never used to having that time. And many people were lost, lonely, confused. And I think that time, I'll put them here, that time given to us, I felt like a lot of it I wasted away, but I also intentionally done a lot of things to help me through the grief journey.
Yeah.
And I was grateful for it. And I know lockdown has been horrible for many people. Horrible to me, but there were also so many amazing bits that I could do with that. I was able to be at home with my son. I didn't have to go back to work and move on so quickly from grieving. I actually could sit in my moments and do the amazing things that I was doing with my brain. All sorts of meditations and mediumships and all that. I loved that. And from that on, that intention was born. And that's why I'm here also talking about these things with you in Mindset Kitchen, because of that intention. And I think miracles can happen if you actually plant one little intentional time seed into your brain. Whether it's a tiny little thing that I'm going to sit for 2 hours with my family without any phone, any distraction, and just be with them. That's huge.
So magical. And it was in that time that I set about starting to write a book. And yet it just wasn't quite fitting. I couldn't quite think, like, what is the book I really want to write here? And I knew it was about purpose, but I just couldn't find the right way of doing. And as I mentioned, we lost my grandmother in 2022 in April. And it was after her death, we were going through her things, that I found a book of my grandfather, which was his journal of 5 years of being a prisoner of war in World War II. And as I opened it, it opened to a page where he's talking about why. And I literally look at it and I'm like, you are joking me. So of all these books that I read in life, the answers to the sort of questions that I've had were in an unpublished book from my grandfather.
Wow.
But actually,
love this story.
I'm reflecting more and more on this journey with my grandfather. He was very special, and we spent a lot of time together when I was young, all the way up to the age of 20. And I would say he's shaped the course of my life. He's certainly inspired me to learn and grow, to read as much as I do, and to be inspired by that, but also to take action as a result. So I spoke earlier about collaborating with people, and it's, for me, collaboration with my grandfather to write this book on purpose has been the gift for me this year. And it's been incredible to focus on that. So now I am almost finished. I sent in my first draft to my editor, and she loved it. She said, keep going, this is great. And it will come out in 2024. It is a collaboration of my thoughts on purpose alongside my grandfather's. But what was also just another magical moment was the universe conspired to allow me to find something else. So not only did I find letters that he wrote to and from when he was in his prison during war, I also found photographs, and I also found another book of short stories that he'd written.
Amazing.
But I found in a little envelope, Amy and George, 1990.
So cool. I love it.
And it was a little dictaphone tape. And it's like, what is on this tape? I can't remember recording this. And of course, I couldn't play it straight away because I didn't have a dictaphone. So I ordered one off eBay, and it arrived. It arrived on the 15th of April this year, 2023. 15th of April is my grandfather's birthday. So universe is definitely working.
Wow.
Magic here.
Love that.
And I put the tape in, press play, and there I am, age 15, maybe 16, depending on what time of the year it was in 1990. I don't know for sure. And I'm interviewing him about his time as a prisoner of war.
Wow.
So clearly my future in podcasting started from that moment, or was instigated. The permission I needed to be able to speak about my grandfather's journey also was given, because he's sharing the same thoughts that he's got written down in this book. And in his journal, his commonplace scrapbook, which is what I found, he said a later chronicler must speak of this. And so I am that later chronicler, and I'm sharing his story. So together I'm crafting this story of purpose, and it is a collaboration between the two of us, even though he died in 1996.
Wow. Yeah. The fact that you found that, and then years later.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I love the story. It's amazing. And then when you say the universe does the magic and works wonders.
You put things out there. And I shared this story on my weekly Friday Focus, and I also publish those on my blog, on my website. And I get an email from a PhD student in Australia who said, just saw your post, and I have all the plays that your grandfather wrote whilst he was working in Australia. Oh my God. Would you like them? Because I'm currently studying him. So here I am writing a book with my grandfather and about my grandfather, this side of the planet in the UK. And there is someone else, the other side of the planet in Australia, where my grandfather had lived and worked for 5 years. And he's studying him there. And you just think, after all of these years, his legacy is still creating an impact. And so this is how purpose evolves. You start off with one thing and it leads you to another project. So this is the current project.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a perfect example to round things up with all your messages, actually. Thanks. And the fact that you will never know how much your granddad was working behind the scenes for you to discover all these artifacts.
He's very crafty chap, so no doubt.
Well, I look forward to reading your book.
Thank you.
I'm sure so as lots of other people. And you shared a couple of snippets of this story in one of the Friday emails.
Yeah.
And I was very excited because I love synchronicities. I love how universe helps us to link all the things together.
Yeah.
And if I can presume, you are writing this and it feels so right in your heart. Such a perfect moment to write it, and it feels like it meant to be happening at this time, rather than much earlier, or maybe when he was alive, because now the extra magic is added because he's still with us. He's just sending different messages, different ways.
Well, it's interesting because in the interview that I have with him, he's talking about how, what do you know when you're age 20? You know nothing. And so when he died, that was what I was aged. I was aged that, of course, not knowing anything. And here I am later reflecting on that journey as, almost 50. I'll be 50 in 24. And it's a case of now I feel is the right time to be having the conversation that I would have loved to have had with him, but in some respects I am.
You are. Believe that, definitely. Yeah. I believe in these things. Yeah. Maybe some people will believe watching this episode, some people will not believe, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah. We, not expected for everyone to understand what we've just been talking for the past 10 minutes, actually. But I am pretty sure there will be loads of people who can relate to this. And I was standing here with my goosebumps. So
goosebumps is my measure. So
the same.
Yeah,
the
right?
Same, yes.
If you get goosebumps, you know that your purpose is making an impact.
Exactly. And sometimes when someone asks me something and I give an answer, say, yes, I would love that, and goosebumps come, I know that's my body's reaction to say, yes, it's the right choice. It's actually my indication of whether I'm making a good choice or not 100%. In lots of things. So, fish cake slightly cooled down, which is good, so you will not burn yourself. I wanted to quickly say what I've done with the salad.
Yes.
My own invention, I absolutely love it. But this is white balsamic vinegar.
Ooh.
And this is clear soy sauce. I've discovered it recently, and I've been adding on various vegetables, tomato, salad, broccoli, on anything. And it adds this light saltness, but it doesn't change the color, or it doesn't, when you add soy sauce, it would just kind of like look different color.
Yeah.
But it adds the saltness in a lighter version than the soy sauce. I'm quickly going to show it to people. So fish cakes with homemade tartar sauce and a salad with balsamic vinegar and soy sauce. So Amy, I'm going to replace.
Shall I switch plates? Thank
There
you.
you go. I hope you enjoy. Dig in, try one. Let's just see what Amy says. I always like my guests to give me an open and honest opinion. And in the meantime, whilst Amy is trying, I wanted to say thank you so much, Amy, for being here. I had Amy on the radar for quite some time. And when I launched Mindset Kitchen, I had envisaged Amy to sitting here on my hot seat pretty soon. So there she is. And I think the Christmas spirit as well, and the Amy's jacket, my red dress, hopefully making it all much Christmassy as well. What do you think, Amy?
It's absolutely delicious.
Thank you so much.
I feel like I'm on MasterChef, and when they say I'm just going to devour the whole lot and not actually say anything, just get stuck in. But no, thank you. This is a real treat. Really, really is.
My true pleasure. And thank you so much, Amy, for sharing all the messages. You will find many more of these. She dwells in with quite a few guests that she has on her podcast in various focus on why, your purpose. I love quite a few episodes in there, and I'm sure you will love it as well, guys. I will put all the details on mindsetkitchen.co.uk. And thank you again, Amy. And thank you, everyone, for watching it. And Merry Christmas.